Ashley, we have heard a lot, and I emphasize a lot, in recent months about non-domiciled CDLs. For good reason. We've had a number of high-profile crashes that have brought some attention to this issue.
Yes.
Whereas we are not used to seeing action on the federal level when things like this happen, at least in a quick manner. We have seen quick action on this on the federal level. We obviously know about and have talked about the Trump administration, what they've been doing on this issue. Lawmakers really have been following the lead of the Trump administration on this issue as well. And our guest today is a prime example of that. Representative David Rouzer of North Carolina recently introduced the Non-Domiciled CDL Integrity Act, and he joins us on the line to talk about it. Congressman Rouzer, thanks for speaking with us today.
Well, good to be with you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Are you keeping busy during the shutdown?
Yes, very much so. It's got everybody a little off balance, in that we're all of us are used to the routine. Very rarely are you gone for as long as we've been out of town, but there's still plenty of work to do.
Yeah,
and but I think all of us have missed the committee work and our opportunity to get things done. As far as official business, but a lot of work still being done behind the scenes.
Yeah, as far as getting work done, you have, and obviously this is why we're talking to you today, not about the shutdown, but about the non-domiciled CDL issue. I want to start by asking you, I don't think a lot of folks outside of trucking were really aware of this non-domiciled CDL issue before really a few months ago. How did this issue first fall on your radar?
Well, pretty much the same way it fell on everybody's radar. You take inventory of what's happening around the country and some of those high-profile accidents, and you quickly begin to understand that those were very, very much preventable. Had you had drivers behind the wheel that, number one, knew what they were doing, but even more concerning is the fact that not even citizens of the country, or even here legally, they were here illegally and received a CDL in California or other places where they really don't adhere to the federal standards for issuance of a commercial driver's license. And so I learned about it the way most Americans that have been attuned to it, learned about it, and that's through the news. I would have never guessed that you would have so many on the road who came here illegally that do not have the proper vetting.
Yeah,
but that's the case, and that's what we're trying to address. And I'm pleased the Trump administration stepped forward to do that. And this is an effort to codify that rule that the administration put into effect.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that bill, which follows the Trump administration's actions on non-domiciled CDLs. Can you tell us what the bill would do?
Well, in its simplest form, it would take those who are in the country legally, and it would basically, they could continue to pursue a CDL if they want to. If you're part of the H-2A program or H-2B or any of the specific visa programs where you have an employee sponsor and you're here legally. But it would crack down on those states that have, I will say, illegally allowed these foreign aliens to come into the country and receive a CDL. Some of these CDLs don't even have a name on them. There's no name, even. As egregious as that is, almost unbelievable that would be the case. But unfortunately, it's true. So basically, those that receive a CDL have to be in the country legally or U.S. citizens. And that's important for the integrity of the industry. I think it's important that every American citizen, when they're on the highway, when they see a truck, their first thought shouldn't be, "Oh my goodness, is that person driving? Has he received his credentials appropriately and legally?" You don't want truckers don't want to have that kind of reputation. So this helps to shore things up, make sure that those who are on the roads are, number one, here in a legal capacity and are U.S. citizens. If they're not as part of one of the visa programs, and make sure things are done the right way. That's important for the integrity of the industry and the public perception of the industry.
And you mentioned too that your bill follows pretty closely with what the Trump administration has done on this issue. I think it is worth mentioning and noting here that presidential administrations come and go. They put rules into effect, change rules, do this, do that. But unless Congress puts this law on the books, that could get flipped and changed at any point down the line. Your bill, as you said there, would codify what the Trump administration is doing here and ensure that this is written, kind of in permanent ink, so to speak. And that's what we're looking at here.
That's right. And, as I travel around the district, travel around the country, one of the things I hear a good little bit is people are very enthusiastically supportive of many of the executive orders that the president has issued. Good, sensible, rules that are designed to enforce our laws, protect the American people. And my constituency in the 7th District of North Carolina, I represent the southeastern corner of the state. And everywhere I travel, a lot of people come up to me and say that they want to see us codify. They want to see us put in place, put in law, permanent law, these executive orders and rules and regulations that are designed to enhance the safety of the American people. And so that's what this does. This takes that rule, cracks down on the states that are allowing these CDLs to go to those who are not legal, and granting them a CDL without merit, without proving their merit. And in many cases, some of these guys they can't read English and they can't speak English, which makes them a threat. That alone makes them a threat on our nation's highways and interstates. And so if you don't make it, the other way to put this is if you don't make it permanent law, if Congress doesn't pass the bill making it permanent law, you got to get a majority, just simple majority vote in the House. Typically, you have to reach the 60-vote threshold in the Senate in order to avoid a filibuster and get to a final simple majority vote. And by the way, I do think that with time we will be able to achieve that. I think this will have bipartisan support. In other words, which is also important.
Yeah. Not
only in terms of getting the bill through the House and the Senate, but in terms of keeping this rule in law, in statute, and in other words, made permanent. So that's why that's important. You could have a new administration come in if you don't have a permanent law in place. You could have a new administration come in and repeal every executive order and every rule or regulation, regardless of its merits. And we saw that. We saw that 4 years ago when President Biden came in. He repealed many of the rules and regulations, as well as many of the executive orders that President Trump had put in place during his first term.
Right.
And so that's the importance of it. That's why when you have good policy and you know it's good policy and it's important for the safety of the American public, that's why it's so important to be made permanent.
You said something there, Congressman, and I want to make sure that we don't miss it. You mentioned the idea that you feel like this could get bipartisan support at some point. Right now, and I haven't checked today, I think you had a couple dozen co-sponsors on your bill. I think all Republicans. Are you hearing from people, on the other side of the aisle who are expressing support for this? What makes you think you're going to be able to, get some of that bipartisan support on this issue?
Well, really, it's a 90-10 issue. Now, the other party has been on the opposite side of just about every 90-10 issue to date. But I do think once the political dust settles, a little bit, and I think there's going to be members, that even though they may not be ready to co-sponsor, once you put this bill on the floor and you get the right media attention behind it, it just makes sense. And so I'm optimistic we'll be able to get some bipartisan support. I think there's probably 4 or 5 Democrats that I can think of that I have personal relationships with, friendships with, that are very reasonable, thoughtful, members. They're becoming more and more the minority in their party, unfortunately. But I could see 4 or 5 for sure in the House that would probably vote for it as a standalone, bill on the floor. And I suspect there may end up being, more than that. Where it really plays big is in the Senate, because you got to get 60 votes. You got 53 Republicans, so assuming you keep all your Republicans together, you got to go find 7 more.
Right.
You got to go find 7 Democrats.
Yeah.
So that's where it's a little bit higher hurdle. But to the degree that we can have as strong a bipartisan vote as possible out of the House, that certainly helps. It doesn't dictate what the Senate does, but it certainly helps.
Yeah, especially if you frame this issue around safety, which is what it comes down to. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's right. That's right. And if the Democrats want to have any opportunity at all in the next election, they got to appeal to, the working man and woman. Sure. And that traditionally had been their base. And things, obviously, there's been just a gigantic change in politics over the last 10, 15 years, in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But our truckers are great people, and, you wouldn't have an economy if you didn't have our truckers. It's an important industry and one that I've always been proud to support.
Now, your bill is one of many dedicated to this issue in recent months. What separates yours from the rest?
Well, ours is simply a codification of the rule, and that was the objective here. We thought the rule was a good and appropriate rule the administration put forward to crack down on these states that did not have or were basically ignoring the proper procedures and criteria to issue commercial driver's license. And so we wanted to keep it simple. We wanted to keep it identical to the rule, and basically, be a codification of that. Simplicity usually is the best way to get legislation passed as expeditiously as possible. So we didn't want to deviate from the rule. We wanted to just simply codify it.
Yeah, and I think that has helped. I continue to be amazed isn't the right word, but impressed, I suppose, with the swiftness that we've seen in terms of action on this issue. Because as we were talking about earlier, it's only been a few months, I think, since the issue really kind of started making national headlines. And typically, as you know better than anybody, or as well as anybody, Congress tends to move not at the swiftest pace, I think, a lot of times. But we've seen some quick action, on this. Again, from the idea of this falling first on your radar a few months ago to introducing this bill, and now it being front and center, I think, in a lot of spaces out there, you don't see that very often. Which to me says that this is an issue that people are taking seriously, and they view it as, again, a safety issue.
Well, that's right, and these accidents could happen to anybody. I mean, it's a real tragedy when you have a lost life, and particularly when you have a loss of life that was totally, completely preventable. I'd be ashamed to be the head of the DMV in California, knowing that a lot of these, number of these CDLs, have been granted, in that state. Yeah. And so it's a simple, easy issue. This is really a 99% to 1%, issue. The 1% are the ones who are doing it illegally. It's a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. And my only regret is that we didn't know about it sooner, because there's a significant number of those behind the wheel who are here illegally. who never should have received a commercial driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this cracks down on it, and this cleans it up.
OOIDA has thrown its support behind you and this bill. What has the association's role been?
Well, the association's role is very critical. I mean, in part, many times, especially in this day and age of social media, a lot of times some will take a grain of truth and then turn it into something that is completely not. And then the other thing too, you all have been, very strong and very vocal in articulating the common sense aspect of this. You are addressing 97% of the problem here. This rule is, and this codification of this bill is, and that's significant. We don't live in a perfect world, but this will certainly make it a far more perfect world in this space than not getting this bill passed.
Yeah. It's worth mentioning you are the chair of the Highways and Transit Subcommittee. As we look at ways and avenues for your bill here to, again, become law, is there an avenue for maybe lumping this into the highway bill? And it's something that you're working on right now. Are those discussions happening, or is that a thought in your mind, perhaps?
Well, so the House and the Senate are so different in terms of kind of the parameters that are self-imposed. And as you mark up legislation, and I do think this is going to turn out to be a bipartisan bill. But the highway bill that we're working on, we want to make sure that it's bipartisan, which means that everything in that bill that's produced, that's going to be marked up and presented to the full House for a floor vote at some point in time. Everything in that package will have been agreed to by both the chairman and the ranking member, and as well as myself, who's chairman of the Highways and Transit Subcommittee, and my counterpart. So what they refer to as the four corners. I kind of call it the small four corners or the little four corners.
Yeah.
I think of the four corners as the speaker and the minority leader in the House, and then the majority leader and the minority leader in the Senate. That when I think of four corners, that's who I think of. But so anyhow, what we produce in committee and report out is going to have to clear, all four, and so we'll see where we are now in the House. In the Senate. They operate a little bit differently. If we have a good, strong bipartisan bill coming out of the House, that tends to enable us to direct the conversation in conference, with the Senate, in consultation with the Senate. And just like with the FAA reauthorization bill, that was a strong bipartisan bill coming out of the House. We pretty much dictated the final language of that bill that was signed into law. I anticipate the same model here for the highway bill. And it's at that point in negotiation with the Senate where we might very well be able to strike some type of accommodation here, for this language. And so we'll see. The bottom line of all that is we'll play it by ear and see what we can do.
I would love personally, I don't know if I can put in a special request to you, Congressman, but, things like truck parking, restroom access, other issues, trucking-related issues that we talk about all the time that there are bills out for right now, and I know you're aware of it as well.
Yeah.
Any other trucking-related issues like that you think might have a chance of kind of being folded into the highway bill there? Again, truck parking's kind of at the top of a lot of people's wish list, but...
Well, absolutely, and I think that has a high probability of meeting the bipartisan standard as I just described it.
Yeah.
As do a lot of the other bills that are out there related to truckers. So we'll see. There's a lot of work being done behind the scenes now at the staff level on that front, and anyhow. Hang tight. I think at the end of the day, most in the transportation space will be pleased, with the product. And there's a lot of work going into it.
And as long as we're on the topic too, I know one of the issues that's at front of your mind, and I think you spoke about this earlier this year in a hearing, or it might have been a little bit longer than that. My sense of time has been warped in recent
Yeah,
years. But
mine too.
you talk and have talked about fixing the Highway Trust Fund quite a bit. Again, as chair of the Highways and Transit Subcommittee, I don't think it's been solvent since George W. Bush was in office. Um, what is that going to take? And I know this is an issue that you've got at front of your mind as well. Are we going to make any progress on that anytime soon, do you think?
Well, there's more awareness. There's more interest in trying to get that issue addressed. It's a long-term challenge.
Yeah.
It's not going to all happen overnight. As you probably recall, in the reconciliation bill, the House passed reconciliation bill. Our portion of it that was within the T&I committee, we included the fee on EVs as well as the fee on hybrids, and that was the first change ever reported out of committee, I think, since 92, 93, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, it's been a long time. And I think the gas tax was adjusted in 93 as part of that big tax bill. And of course, they did not index it to inflation. So it's been, pretty much the same since. But you have a fundamental restructure to think through as well, in that you got a lot of vehicles that are very fuel efficient. Right now, folks like me with a 2004 Chevy Tahoe, that drinks a lot of gas, we're more than paying our fair share into the Highway Trust Fund. My neighbor, who's got the hybrid, getting 40, 50 miles per gallon, not nearly as much. And and then you got the EVs that don't pay anything.
Yeah.
And so you have a structural issue there that needs to be addressed. And there's a variety of ideas on that. From a policy standpoint, it's not really complicated, but we're in a political body, and the politics of it can be a little dicey. So anything that we put forward, at least on our side, really needs to be vetted and worked very strongly with the Republican conference so that everybody's on the same page. And if you don't do that, you're just never going to get out of the gate with any kind of significant reform that's needed long term. So bottom line of what I'm saying is there's a whole lot of work that has to go into this. If we can, get a fee in place for EVs at some level, a fee in place for hybrids at some level, something similar to what we were working towards with the reconciliation package, then that would be a win. Small steps lead to bigger steps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that there's more interest and more momentum, more understanding that this issue needs to be addressed sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
One of the things I know Scott and I say a lot, and everybody here at OOID says, it talks about the importance of reaching out to lawmakers to inform them, educate them, kind of nudge them in the right direction. Just wondering if you can speak to that, what you like to hear when constituents call you, asking you to pay attention to an issue.
Well, I think the number one thing is understand that lawmakers have a lot of pressure points. And I mean that from the perspective of, you have all sides of an issue calling you every day.
Yes.
Not everybody agrees on everything.
Mm.
And so to the degree that the transportation sector can have some unification in their message, that helps. Members are just like every other human being, except as a member of Congress, you're inundated with everything from A to Z every day, which is why we have to rely, so significantly on staff who do a tremendous job for us all. And so developing relationships with the staff is really, really important, so that when issues come up, there's a level of trust there, because we don't know everything. We need we need the benefit of those that know far more than we do, on all these subjects that we deal with, day to day. And so, developing that relationship with your member and understanding the political dynamics of members in their districts back home, which committees they're on. There's some members that, based on their committee assignments, can help you more than other members can, just based on committee assignment. So it's important to do your homework, develop the relationship, and, never go in and demand anything. State your preference, of course, but also be understanding of the realities that we have to face, day to day in Congress.
Yeah.
None of us get everything that we want. And, some of us are a no vote. If we don't get at least 99% of what we want, others are in the more practical column, like myself. If I can get 85% of what I'm trying to achieve, I'm happy to do that. I grew up under Reagan, so that's kind of my philosophy. But anyhow, those are just a few things I think that are important for your folks to know.
Yeah, and we'll continue to encourage our listeners to reach out to their lawmakers and ask them to support your bill, the Non-Domiciled CDL Integrity Act. Congressman, we know your time is very valuable. We'll let you get out of here in just a second, but wondering if you might have a final word or thought for our nation's truck drivers who might be listening to this right now.
Well, I love our truck drivers, always have. Like I said earlier in our program here, if it weren't for the truck drivers, there'd be no economy. And these are great working men and women who have helped make this country great. And I know the Trump administration, feels that same way. President Trump has always been a proud supporter of our working men and women of this country, no matter their occupation. But I'd say he has a particular liking for the construction workers and the truckers and the ones that are where the rubber meets the road. No pun intended here. But anyhow, it's an honor to have the opportunity to visit with you today, and look forward to getting this bill across the finish line, as well as a good highway bill too, that can help make the jobs of our truckers, much more efficient than sitting in line after line after line of traffic on our nation's highways and interstates. We're going to try to put together a good highway bill that everybody can be proud of and improves our transportation system as well.
Well, it was an honor to have you.
Yes.
We thank you for your work, again, on this issue and all the other issues that matter to truck drivers. And
we appreciate
thank you for your time today. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Oh, great to be with you. Take care.
Thanks for listening. Today's episode of Trucking with OOIDA was brought to you by a dedicated team of people. That includes Jim Fetzer, Tennille Flick, and Kim Boren.
You can listen to new episodes and extended interviews on your favorite podcast platform and on the OOIDA YouTube page. Please subscribe while you're there. If you've got thoughts, we'd love to hear them. Call us at 1-800-324-6856 and leave a message, or send us an email to podcast@ooida.com, and we might include it on the show.